we have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
This crusade, this war on terrorism, is going to take a while.
He came, he saw, he died.
We tortured some folks.
Yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode 53. Can't believe we made it, but we did. Thank you for being here. After a long break, summer break, we're back for a brand new fall season. Guys, it's episode 53. I appreciate you being here. It's going to be a good one. We got a friend in the house who happens to be a presidential candidate. These are weird times we're living in. I know, it's a weird statement to even say that, but that's what we're doing. But man, I do appreciate you guys being here. If you're seeing this, like, subscribe, share it, all that stuff. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify later on, please leave a review for your boy. That would help out. And if you're watching in the moment, being in the present with us, we appreciate you. Don't forget, I was going to say every Wednesday, but it's more like some Wednesdays. You can catch me on The System Is Down with that dude, Dan Smots, but he's taking some time too. He had a nice little summer break, and he's making some cool content with his kids, trying some other stuff out. So we're branching out, man. You know, after a while, did this stuff for 2 years. You gotta take a break, kind of reassess. Why are you doing the damn thing? And after 2 months, I've decided to become worse. That's right. It's 9/11, so everybody put on their party hat. That's right. Davey Downer's in the building. I'm not going to get depressing like I did for the 20th anniversary of that shit where we just threw a morose fest. We're going to have some fun tonight. But my guest is kind of centered around vengeance. His campaign slogan is a vote for vengeance, which I got to say, with 9/11 in the air and there's, just so much to be vengeful about, I got to tell you, that's kind of appealing. We'll get to that in a second. You might notice that I am sans Dan. I do not have my main man, Dan. He, my dude, got married a couple weeks ago. And I was fortunate enough to be there as his dude. But he's still in honeymoon mode. So we're going to be doing this, solo with some guests for the next couple times. But a lot's changed, guys. It's been a couple months. What should we cover? The president got a mugshot. I should specify. President Trump got a mugshot. President Obama was outed as a gay crack addict. So, but not arrested. Did not do any time for any of that. President Biden still on the decline. So we got a lot to look forward to there in the upcoming presidential season. But that's what we're here to talk about tonight. The President of the United States of America. My guest is a former at-large member of the Libertarian National Committee. He's also a former vice chair of the organization of the same name. He's a longtime activist, an anti-war voice. He's the host of Break the Cycle. He's a husband and a dad like 1,000 times over. He's like the Genghis Khan of the liberty movement. Seriously, doing some serious dadding. He's a Ron Paul guy, and he's my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, the great and powerful Josh Smith.
What's going on, buddy? Thank you so much for having me.
Damn right, dude. It's a pleasure, man. And I was going to say, we were talking a little bit before the show. You and I have known each other for, going on like probably like 6-7 years at this point.
Yeah, over half a decade for sure. No doubt.
Yeah, with the beginning of the Mises Caucus and starting this podcast, you were instrumental. I'd say I always use that Hulk tacos meme. Like when you share my stuff and, hey, man, go give Dave a follow. You did a lot of that when I got started, man, and I really appreciate that. You had me on your show like 5 times.
Yeah, you and Dan are 2 of my favorite guests, man.
I'll tell you what, dude, that really means a lot to me. Some of those shows, like we had a good couple talks, just me and you. I think there was one, me, you, and Dan.
Yep.
Josh Denny was on one. You introduced me to Monica Perez on your show.
Yeah.
You had an epic, perhaps the most epic Libertarian podcast. I think it was like a Thanksgiving episode.
It was a Thanksgiving special, with
bro. Who was on that?
Dave Smith, Scott Horton, Maj Toure, you, Dan. Oh man, there's so many people.
Chase Geyser.
Chase Geyser was on there.
Lobster was on there.
Top. Yep.
Before he blew his top.
There's more. There's definitely more. I just can't think of them all. It was pretty heavyweight to have that for sure. I think Chrissy Meyer, she hopped in at some point. It was a good stream. It was a lot of fun.
That was wild, man.
It's still on my thread there on YouTube. If you guys ever want to go check it out, it was the Thanksgiving special.
Go check that out. Yeah, man. We're gonna talk more about your podcast and about you, but I got to say, like your launch into that show was like one of the best launches of a podcast like I had seen. Like the guests obviously had Top Lobster doing all the artwork and really, really crushed that. So way to go, man.
Yeah, it was kind of like, I had these like contacts to leverage, right? Because I had been doing this work around the country for so long. I got, a bunch of friends like Shane Hazel and Dave Smith and Maj and Scott and Michael Bolden. And it was like, I'm just going to line them all up in like a row and then see how it works. And it did help a lot. And the show's been really good, man. I appreciate doing the show. Of course, I don't have the time. There was a time there where I was doing 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Of course, with the addition of another baby and then, work. And of course, this campaign and stuff, it's been hard to do that many shows, but we try to do them every Thursday now, at least. So
it's awesome, man. Yeah. I mean, just consistency. You can take 2 months off at a time like me and Smots. It's no big deal.
I did that once and I lost about $1,700 a month in revenue from the show. So.
See, you got to be like me and never start to get revenue.
Exactly.
That's the key. Really quick, before we get started, let's take a quick peek at a little clip from me and Josh on Break the Cycle.
Dude, I'm down with unity. There's unity right here.
Yeah. Yes. Love that.
I love it. I've been passing that around for a bit. It was when unity was the word. Yeah, bro. Unity right here.
Yeah, I'm down for libertarian unity. As long as we unite over ending the Fed and the wars and all that great stuff, then we can unite all day. Hell yeah.
It's easy, man. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, dude. It's 9/11. We're not going to harp on it, but your campaign is centered around the tag is a vote for vengeance.
Yes.
So I thought that we're going to delve into that
today.
It's a beautiful hood, bro. And I am attracted to this message. So I want to say right off the bat that like I feel that. I feel it in my heart. However,
I think we all do.
We all do. And I want to get deeper into that. But I feel like a little bit like Anakin Skywalker. Like I want to okay, wait a second. Is that where my heart should be? Should I be like keeping it centered around vengeance? We'll talk a little bit about that. But I think I have a feeling, a hunch that some vengeance might be appropriate from time to time.
Sure.
Batman, you know what I mean? I don't know. But we'll get into it. But with it being 9/11, man, I know you've told your story 100 times, and I bet you most people watching the show know who you are and you know what you're about. But I know that you signed up for the military at a young age because you wanted to protect your country right after it was attacked on 9/11, and you went on a big ship around the world and you did the whole thing. And I know, quite a few guys like you who came out libertarian on the other end, and I really appreciate that. And I just thought that maybe we could start there, 22 years of the emergency state and... where's the place for vengeance in that? Sure. And what should we do now, man? You're running for president. Lead us. What's up?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. So I have told this story a lot about my background, of course. I was a 17-year-old idealistic kid that wanted to protect my family and my friends and, my countrymen. And, it was a scary time joining the military right after 9/11. The war in Afghanistan had already kicked off, of course, uncongressional, illegal war in Afghanistan that we would come to find out 20 years later was we knew that we couldn't win. We made rosy pronouncements that we could, knowing for a fact that it was a war that would never win, that would rage on for at least a decade, I think is what they said in the Afghanistan papers. And when we walked out of there, the Taliban took it back over in about 38 seconds. To the cries and screams of, peaceful farmers, really. So we toppled and destabilized this country for 21 years due to, 60-year-old man that was on dialysis apparently was able to put together one of the greatest terrorist attacks on the Western world on dialysis from a cave in Afghanistan. So we had to go and bomb, sheep herders and farmers for 20 something years. So, but yeah, I wanted to protect my country. And that was really what turned me into a libertarian. I didn't know that term at the time, of course. I didn't know what libertarian meant. I just knew that I didn't like war. And I thought that maybe the mission was corrupt. I started questioning it at 19 years old after bombing the shit out of Baghdad with my, in my battle group. And they bombed the shit out of Baghdad, which is just a big city, just like San Francisco or Oakland or any other big city where thousands and thousands of people live, kids, family, pets. People get up and put on their work boots and go to work every day. They got dreams and goals and aspirations, and people play in bands and probably do podcasts. And we're dropping 100 million tons of ordnance on Baghdad in 48 hours. And I was like, no. This is not okay. We shouldn't be doing this. And I feel bad. And I've spent the last 20 years trying to atone for that by trying to end war. I mean, that's really what I've been doing. But I found Ron Paul in 2007. Of course, I didn't know anything past. And even at this time, I didn't know anything past, Afghanistan and Iraq 1 basically was like my foray into war, right? In 1990, I was 7 years old watching the first ever live televised war in history. In Iraq 1. A lot of people contend that it was Vietnam, but Vietnam was never a live war. They never showed us live footage of Vietnam. It was recorded and showed later dates.
Sure.
So we're watching it in real time in Iraq 1 at 7 years old, thinking, is this going to come to the United States? I mean, they were scaring me on TV at 7 years old, thinking that Iraq, which are running around with a bunch of old school beat up AK-47s, are going to somehow make it to the United States and kill us all.
Yeah.
And it was that young brainwashing and patriotism and nationalism that when we got attacked in 2001, I was ready to go. Absolutely 100%. I'm not going to let my family die in a war. I'm going to go fight them over there. And that's what we've always been told. We have to go over there to fight them. And, I didn't know anything past these wars. And then I got out and I found Ron Paul in 2007 and worked on his campaign. Of course, famously in 2020, he endorsed me for chair of the National Party, which is, next to the birth of my children, one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me. And I started to learn about other things. I started to learn about the coup in Iran in the 60s or the 50s, and how we were already toppling democratically elected prime ministers in the Middle East, and how we had been playing kingmaker for decades and decades in the Middle East already. And then and then you learn about Obama and Syria and Yemen and Clinton and, Madeleine Albright saying it was totally worth it that 100,000 Iraqi children were dead in 1990. And you can't be a veteran, especially, but anybody who values human life, especially if you call yourself a pro-life person, no one can listen to those things and think that's okay. It's not okay. It's not just collateral damage. These are dead children. That's not collateral damage. We're the bad guys. We're the bad guys. And I can't stomach it anymore. I had to do something. So I started trying to use my voice for anti-war stuff. I tried to talk my friends out of joining the military. Our mission is corrupt. It has been corrupt for a long time, way before I was alive. And we learn this every year. Every year, some new documents are released that we learn about, like the Afghanistan papers or the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. This whole thing was predicated on, 20-year-old mustard gas warheads and sarin gas warheads that no longer worked, that were no longer potent, and they found 5,000 of them buried in a hole. They had been there for a decade. And everybody uses that as a justification. Like, well, we had to go there because they had these chemical weapons. They weren't using those chemical weapons. They hadn't been using them for over 10 years. They hadn't even used them in 1990 when we went to war the first time in Iraq.
And I'm pretty sure Donald Rumsfeld was the guy who went over there in the early 80s and supplied them with the chemical weapons.
We gave them the weapons. Yes, of course we did. It's the same, and we're talking the same thing with Osama bin Laden and his crew too. I mean, we trained them here in the United States. Yeah. We forced them to learn all this stuff. Then we used them to fight another terrorist group, and then we abandoned them. And it's just like, it's always blowback because we do these things. And so, as I'm running. Part of the reason I'm running for president is to use that voice and to bring more light to these issues and to the warfare state and the military-industrial complex, and of course the Federal Reserve that through inflation and other things helps prop up the military-industrial complex. And it's got to stop. And so, that's a big part of why I'm running. It's a big part of why I've been involved in politics at all. I hate politics. I think it's a dirty, terrible, nasty game. Some of your best friends will stab you in the back if they get the chance. It's just how it works. And like I've said before, probably 70% of everyone I've met in politics over the last, 13 years or 14 years has been an absolute piece of shit. So I hate the game, but it's got to be played, and it's got to be played by people that are willing to have integrity and say the things that need to be said and be brave. And that's why I'm here.
Fuck yeah, man. Talking about people that are brave and saying the things that need to be said, maybe saying the things that were said before anybody else that we should have paid attention to. Captain Hindsight, let's take a quick look at this.
And if there was an outside threat like a bin Laden, who was a known CIA asset in the 80s, running the Mujahideen war, and whose family builds all the military bases over in Saudi Arabia right now, and sits on the board of Iridium Satellite, he's the boogeyman they need in this Orwellian phony system. I want the White House numbers up there now. A big part of this solution, after you research all the government terrorism and check out what I'm saying is true, call the White House and tell them, we know the government's planning terrorism. We know Oklahoma City and World Trade Center was terrorism. We know the Joint Chiefs of Staff wanted to blow up airliners, Baltimore Sun. If you do it, we're going to blame you because we know who's up to it. Or if you let some terrorist group do it, like the World Trade Center, we know who to blame. And you could save the planet. I'm calling it Operation Expose the Government Terror.
Can you look at the date on that damn thing? Holy shit.
Man. So for you audio listeners out there, that was the great Alex Jones from July of 2001.
Wow.
A good 4 months ahead of the event, telling you exactly who's going to be named and where they're going to do the thing. I didn't even know in 2001, I didn't know who Alex Jones was.
I didn't either.
Doing a podcast before anybody had a podcast.
Scott Horton knew who he was.
I bet he did, but yeah.
Scott, I think Scott would call into his show. I'm pretty sure.
See, we need to get those two back together. Scott Horton yelled at me for being a 9/11 truther last time I saw him, but not a damn thing changed. In fact,
he yelled at me on my own show about calling Nick Sarwark a CIA agent. So,
see, we're gonna hit that tonight, bro. At least, not now, but I'm gonna hit that. I have it written down. But I just want to go out on a limb and say, unless somebody has a better name, I think that Alex Jones might be the most important journalist of the 21st century.
Him and Julian Assange, for sure.
Dude, he could be the only other one, and without question, Julian Assange has suffered more. And for that, he really is on the cross. But
I feel bad for Alex because he was able to get a message across and build this huge following by being over the top. And because he's so over the top, that's what people use to drag him down. But he's been right 90% of the time.
Isn't that how Hulk Hogan won? Isn't this what these guys do? It's like, oh no, that's not me. That's that guy. I'm Hulk. Or that's Hulk Hogan. That's not me. No. That's me playing this character.
I've been an ardent supporter of Alex Jones for a very long time. And I struggle. I mean, even the Frogs gay thing was.
Guys, I love Dave Smith, but he'll say stuff like, Alex Jones is, he's right about a lot of stuff. He's wrong about a lot of stuff too. It's like, I don't know, bro. Is he like
how many? How many things?
Yeah.
Name them.
Name the things, and were they like really huge things? And like when you hear about the medical takeover and the what we just saw, and the vaccines that were coming, he was talking about that stuff 20 years ago, bro.
Yeah.
Nobody else was doing that, And to Julian Assange's credit, man, he published all that stuff that's so dangerous, but I don't think he told us anything that was gonna happen.
No,
he reported on shit after it happened.
Yeah, I mean, he reported on clear corruption and
Sure.
evilness, and I appreciate Assange for that, and he shouldn't be in jail. I mean, whistleblowers and journalists that are doing their due diligence to put out real, true facts should not be crucified the way that Snowden has, and the way that Assange has. I think they should be. It's in my platform that both of those men will be pardoned, or the investigation into Snowden would be ended for sure. And of course, my dude Ross Ulbricht's got to come out of jail as well. He should not be spending 2.5 life sentences for creating e-commerce that the government couldn't get their hands on. So
yeah, months ago, before when there was no one in the LP presidential race that I was interested in, I was thinking Ross Ulbricht would be a cool candidate.
Yeah.
Because it would be an interesting campaign. Just to
if Joe Exotic could do it, then there's no doubt that Ross could do it too.
Yeah.
But federal prison is a little hard to run a campaign from, I'd imagine.
Yeah, Smots and I did an interview with his campaign manager, and he seems like a decent guy. I was moved a little bit, like, just because, again, like, the guy seems weird, and that's what I was thinking. But like, it's a good way to try and raise awareness to this guy's case, which is important. That's his friend, and
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish them Godspeed. Still not going to give them my vote. Sorry, Dan Smots. But yo, speaking of Dan Smots, man, see, again, the world is just getting so much smaller. You guys are a couple of my pals, and you've been working together. I feel like at this point, man, you and Smots have done so much stuff that you're almost like. You're like Eminem working with Dr. Dre, and that his beat style and like what you can get away with, and like, if I just drop this line here, he'll know what to do. It's like, it's really cool to watch you guys work together. And if I may say so, Dan is a whore. He'll make a commercial for anybody.
He's a capitalist.
But but I think that this kind of stuff, I have a hunch that this is what he really likes making. I don't know. I'm not speaking for him.
Yeah, the way that he flawlessly makes our videos like perfect, it makes me know that he enjoys it. And he'll always text me like towards the end of it, because he'll be like, I'll let you know, and blah blah blah. Then the day before it drops, he'll send me a text like, yeah, this shit slaps. It's gonna be really good. He knows because and I give him something to work with. I have this script in my head, and I'm like, I know what Dan's gonna do here and here and here, and so I'm gonna play it this way, and then I just give him a bunch of takes, and he does the magic, man. I mean, he's the best. He's the best in the business. There's nobody better. The man should be making millions of dollars.
Isn't that weird? I mean, like, I told him, and I think he knows it, but he answered it humbly. I'm like, bro, you're the best libertarian propagandist in the world.
It has
He goes, well, that's because nobody else is really doing it. I was like, yeah, you're probably right about that. Like, somebody else probably, but for right now, it's you, bro.
He's also an amazing lead singer. If you guys are not aware, I went and watched his band play.
Yeah,
I went and saw his band play, and I actually got up on stage and did a song with him. And he put a shot of that in the new video that we put out for the campaign. But I actually got up and sang the Sound, which is like one of my favorite songs by him, on stage with him. And probably terribly, I had a couple of drinks, but he's amazing, dude. Like, he put on a show that you would see at like a Coliseum. No doubt, he's very good. Very good.
I believe it, man.
Yeah.
He's the real deal.
Yeah.
While we're here, bro, let's take a look at Dan Smott's commercial for Josh Smith for president.
The new one or the old one?
Oh, we're gonna watch both. We'll start with first.
All right.
Here we go.
America, land of the free and home of the brave. What does that mean to you? What do you think about when you hear it? Is it a 250-year-old hard-fought revolution for freedom and independence? Do you think of the founding fathers penning words that would forevermore see a nation and its people free of tyranny? Is it 4th of July barbecues and time with your family? Is it your right to peacefully speak your mind without fear of violent repercussion? Is it perhaps a republic of the represented, led by public servants who listen to the will of its people? Or is it whatever this bullshit is? We're in a downward spiral of insanity. Forever wars, inflation, constant attacks on our natural rights by the very people that campaign on protecting them. and petty tyrants around every corner looking to use the crushing weight of the federal government to strip you of your personhood for wrongthink. Enough already. My name's Joshua Smith, and I'm running for President of the United States of America. I'm running on a radical platform to end the wars, end the Fed, and restore some sanity to this once great nation. We are fed up with lifelong politicians who legislate policy that hurts Americans in their pocket, in their livelihood, and in their property. We need a drastic overhaul of the status quo. I am under no illusion that the powers that be will allow me into the White House. We may not win, but together, we can send a message to Washington that most of us are fed up with the constant barrage of filth they shove down our throats in D.C. We can challenge lifelong politicians for their long-held positions of power. We can make the powerful elite change their position on policy. We can be loud enough to disrupt the corporate news media and their agenda to weaken America. Together with the 61% of the population who was so fed up they didn't even cast a vote for president in 2016, we can make the changes that give us the power back. Let's take our frustrations to the ballot box in 2024 and send a message that we're ready to opt out of the status quo. Enough already. My name's Joshua Smith, and I'm running for president. I'm ready to fight back. Are you? Slaps.
That
Shit
boy
slaps.
good. That boy
Yeah,
good.
Shit slaps, dude. I every time I watch that one, I'm like amazed again how good he is. He's just is perfect. There was actually somebody in the original drop of that video that was mad at me and said they wouldn't vote for me because I used the British version of status and status quo, which Ron Paul used to effortlessly like switch back and forth between status and statist. I don't know if you have ever noticed that.
I have not noticed that. How about
Yeah.
that? Okay.
And so like status quo and status quo are the same thing, but one's the British pronunciation. And so like somebody was so mad that I used the British pronunciation, they said they wouldn't vote for me. I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, whatever, man. You weren't going to vote for me anyway.
You're going to say they probably weren't going to make their way to be a delegate and make it all happen for you anyway, if that's the deal breaker.
Yeah.
Bro, that commercial, and if Smots is still in the chat, you guys, it's fucking gnarly, bro.
It's the best political ad I've ever seen, and I'm not saying that because of me. I'm saying that because of Dan Smots.
Oh, see, and I'm saying that's great. The next one is
the next one is really good too.
But listen, Smots, who, as you alluded to, is a musician. He understands the importance of that drop, the build up of the fucking patriotic shit, and then that drop, and what that does to you. Ew, bro. The whole rest of that video and all the fucking demons and potbelly goblins come up. It's so icky. Like he knows what he's fucking doing with that.
He's very
too.
good.
Yeah,
very good.
You guys are crushing it. And I mean, I don't care who you want to be for president. That's the messaging that I want to see come out of the Libertarian Party. And I'm not saying everybody has to do it. I'm just saying, thank God somebody is doing that. And personally, I feel like Smots should be able to, since he's the Illuminati of the Libertarian Party, should be able to go, look, this is the fucking ad. If you're a presidential candidate and you can't step into this ad and say these things, then fuck right off.
Yeah, I agree. That's
what I think.
And that's why I ran. I mean, that's, one of the biggest reasons why I ran is because, I unlike some people who were shocked, I kind of put two and two together. Dave Smith wasn't running months ago. You know what I mean? I knew that Dave, with this huge buildup and everything, Dave was going to run. He would have announced a long time ago. He would have needed to, you know what I mean? Just to build that momentum to look for that 5% in the general. He would have had to start a while ago. I don't care how big his platform is. It could have been Tim Pool. He would have had to do it months ago. And so once I realized that, I saw the people that were running were like Chase and Mike Termott and Lars Mapstead, who apparently I just found out today made all of his wealth off adult films.
I just saw that, bro. We're going to talk about that too, bro.
I didn't know that.
He said, I made a bunch of dating sites. I'm like, oh, that's neat. And then I saw that tweet. I'm like, oh, it's a little different.
The cam sites. They were the cam sites, like the actual cam sites. And so
he's fucking Andrew Tating it. This motherfucker had no idea. Lars, you sick bastard.
I didn't know either. But I was looking at our choices going, dude, this is not going to get us. Like, and I like Termott. Like, he's a nice guy. You know what I mean? And I think he knows his shit pretty well. It's especially when it comes to economics. He's a Austrian economics guy. Like, he knows economics, but He's an ex-cop. He worked for the George Bush administration. Like, I'm like, I can't do it. I can't have that guy be. It was like Bill Weldon, CFR. You know what I mean?
It would be weird if you're a libertarian and you're cool with that. A guy who's literally never had a private sector job, whether fucking, working retail or working for, for a private organization. He went from the George H.W. Bush White House to teaching at fucking George Washington University in D.C.
to being a cop.
To being a cop, and he didn't even go on a repentance tour about how sorry he is for being a fucking cop.
It's not like me. I spent 20 years fighting war because I spent time in war. You know what I mean? Like 20 years I spent doing that. I worked for only anti-war candidates. I would only work for an anti-war party. That's why I left the Republican Party. Like you got to atone for those things. And I think that Termott's great. But, I knew that when I announced, a lot of people, first of all, there were going to be people who were mad at me for the vice chair thing. I get it. I understand. And I'm more than willing to have that conversation. I think I made it clear to anybody. Like, if you want to call me and have a conversation on why I left, please do. We've had the conversation about the anti-war rally. You guys knew that I was upset about the allying with the communists, but then I got over it because I had that conversation with Scott Horton. But still, there was too many backroom bullshit things going on in the party for me to stay on that board. And if you want to talk about them, I'm more than willing to talk about them publicly or with you on a phone call, especially after what's come to light over the last couple of weeks. But the fact of the matter is, I knew that people were also going to be like, "Oh, Josh Smith, he don't got a platform. I mean, he's not going to be a big platform guy." But we've gotten 7 million impressions in the last 7 days. You know what I mean? Like, if there's anything that you know about me, it's that I've been on a national campaign for the last 6 years, and I know how to run one. But I had to always focus inward on the party for the last 6 years because I was running for intra-party political positions. Now I get to focus outward, right? Now I get to go out and get people excited about a presidential campaign that aren't even in the party, that aren't even in the bubble. And we've reached outside of that bubble so many times now with the videos. The other day when Tim Pool shared my video about the New Mexico governor, and then Elon Musk commented on it, like we're way out of the echo chamber now. And it's growing fast. I mean, we're getting thousands of new followers a week. I mean, we're doing good. And so I knew people would question like whether I was going to be able to build that platform and get it big enough. But I think because of the messaging, that it's going to be easy. I think that's going to be the easy part, building the platform. I think the hardest part is going to be, will libertarians come up out of their wallet to help a campaign? That's always the hardest part for libertarian candidates, is raising the money, And so that's where I'm at, man. We're building the platform. We I don't want to be president. Like, don't get me wrong. I want to use the presidential position to get vengeance on the COVID regime, the warfare state, close down ATF, roll back some of this horrendous mental health care that we've got going on in the United States right now when it comes to gender affirming care, of course, get rid of some of these political prisoners that shouldn't be in prison. Like, I want to use the position for those things, but I don't necessarily want to be the president. But at the end of the day, I'm also the only candidate that's running. It's going to tell you we're not going to win the presidency.
You put that in your ad.
In my ad. And
that's great, dude. Honestly, yeah. That was my litmus test last time going in. Like, from 2020 on, I said, okay, whoever the next person is can't bullshit us. Right. They have to come clean and go, all right. I mean, and the Mises Caucus is good at that, and you are born out of that squad, that just
I was
that
there from
attitude.
The very beginning, man.
Right. So I just wasn't trying to make any assumptions of where you're lined. I just meant that attitude of like, okay, man, we have to be real with each other. Yep. Like, we can't tolerate the lie. I can win.
No, and that's every libertarian candidate is always like, we're going to win this thing. Termott's saying it right now, and it's like, you can't get 150 votes in a straw poll. You know what I mean? And like,
I can't tolerate that.
And so like, no, we're not going to win the presidency. But what we can do is change the political landscape for eternity in America by getting 5%. That's all it would take. 5% is forever changes the political landscape in the United States, to the point of where now these two old parties have to worry. They're losing sleep at night, having nightmares about a third party that's able to be in the debates, that's able to come and take their positions, that are able to get all the same federal gives that they give the Republicans and Democrats. We now have automatic ballot access in all 50 states. I mean, this is a big deal. This is a huge deal just to get 5%. And we have the opportunity to do that. I think that especially in this current like perfect storm politics, like political landscape that we're in right now, there's so many people that are just fed up with Trump and DeSantis. And I mean, they're looking at Vivek, who's obviously a liar about most of the things he's talking about. He can't keep one story straight between interviews. And he also put that one of his top 5 favorite artists is Arlo Guthrie, who, I mean, was a huge communist. But anyways, we'll talk about that later. But and then you got Biden and Newsom and Kamala Harris on the other side. Like, nobody wants any of these people to be in charge of their lives, but they're so scared of the other side winning that they'll vote for one. But if we give them an actual like good opportunity to vote for somebody who's truly wants to mow down the ATF building and build a dog park in remembrance.
This is good.
And I mean that. I really want to do that. That's something that I really would do as president.
I believe you.
And you give them somebody who means what they say and really wants to do those things, I think we get that 5% easy. I really do. We're shooting for 10.
I'll tell you, man, the people respond to simple messages. So when somebody goes out there and goes, like, okay, what's your plan? My plan is for 5%. Because you know what 5% gets us? X, Y, and Z. Right. Like, it's so easy. And personally, dude, this is what nationals should be spending a lot of time doing. Because we were talking a little bit back before the show about ballot access and stuff. It's like, this is so fucking tiresome and just such an energy suck. So if you could just get a guy who could get the 5%, you wouldn't have to fuck with any of that. And personally, I think if you can't get 5%, you shouldn't be fucking with that. Right. And I've heard people that I respect were like, well, we need the appeal of the 50 states to get somebody that would do it. It's like, I don't know. I think that you're decades away. If that's what you're hoping for, spending millions of dollars and all this manpower to like get the ballot access to get 1.5%, go home.
Yeah.
Go home.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That is the problem. I mean, 100%. That is the problem. It is a double-edged sword, because to entice a good candidate to run, we would have to have 50 state ballot access. Yeah. I would imagine that part of Dave's thought process and not running is like, there may be 15 states that we don't have ballot access on and can't get on the ballot.
So let's spend a minute on this if we can. Real quick, I just want to say though, Kyle Matovic said, if Josh is not the fucking nominee, I am not fucking voting.
Thanks.
So
we're gonna be the nominee, buddy.
Listen, Kyle, you need to, and Josh will probably be on you. You need to probably get to DC then, bro.
Yeah,
so that you can be a delegate. So
that's the big thing.
You can't just say shit on Twitter. You have to fucking do the thing so that you can get Josh.
It's not that fucking hard either. Excuse my language.
Yeah, do it.
You guys know. You guys watch my show. I'm sure you've heard the F word once or twice.
Oh, dude, yeah, you're in the right company.
That's the thing. Like, here's the deal. You guys want me to be the nominee on the general ballot? Go to your state convention, become a delegate, and go to DC and vote for me. It's really not that hard. Your vote in DC has more power than any other vote you will ever make in your entire life.
It'll actually be counted.
1,200 people.
I like Kyle. I just want to say, bro, I like Kyle. And when I met him in PA before the takeover, his vibe was so fucking good, dude.
Yeah,
dude,
chill.
Dave, come here. Let me buy you a shot, dude. That's this guy. Just positive, seriously good energy. And I can tell that he's a little bit black-pilled and not feeling the vibe lately, as a lot of people are. But I'm just saying, bro, you're a young man. I get it. But, like, this shit just fucking keeps happening, bro. 9/11 to COVID took just like that. So you just got to go with the ebbs and flows of things. If you want shit to happen, bro, and you don't want people to pick candidates for you, you got to show up, like Nick Sarwark said. Real quick on Nick Sarwark, and I have just a note here. I wanted to talk about any kind of Fed regime, libertarian hijinks that's still going on. I was talking to Smots recently, and he was saying, like, you, me, it was Mike Heiss. Me, you, and Heiss always said that Nick was a Fed.
Yes.
And most other people would be like, these guys are funny calling him a Fed. Yeah, he acts like a Fed. It's like, no. That guy's a Fed.
Yeah.
Like legit.
I still contend that he's a federal. At least somehow the Feds have gotten to him and made him some type of asset.
Somehow.
Of some sort. There's no doubt.
Agreed. You can take that to the bank. Yeah. The head of the Mises Caucus believes that. Your presidential candidate that you might be about is for that. And the host of the show is about that. So, something to consider, that a guy who won 3 times to lead the party was probably tied to the intelligence agencies.
And he's probably not the only. He's probably not the only one. I mean, involved in the party.
Right.
I'll tell you that much for sure.
Yeah, agreed. So, again, that's the kind of messaging that I'm looking to hear out of somebody who wants to lead the party, is that the party has been infiltrated, and we got to do some shit about that.
Yeah, we got to be brave. I talked about this the other day. I think there's a lot of people that are really worried about my safety, because I think that only people that would be worried about my safety are people that know that I could do good in this race.
Yeah.
And I keep making the joke of, well, I ain't going to be traveling down any parades in a limo or a drop top in Dallas anytime soon. But I think that that's a legit concern, and something that people should be worried about is, that there's operatives that will take you out, man. We know that. But what they don't understand is that if you looked at the arms list of all of my friends, they outdo the military, dude. And so we're bringing all those people to DC with us, and I'm not that worried about it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I have better protective friends than the Secret Service.
Yeah, bro, I agree with that. And I would say, if RFK can come out and say the CIA killed my uncle and my father, and Tucker can go on Twitter and say President Obama sucked dick and smoked crack, and like, I feel like, I don't know, bro, you could probably say some shit. And
I say a lot of things and I mean them, and I know, I fact check the shit I say. I'm not going to just come out and start being like all this wildly crazy stuff. Like, even though Obama is gay and crack thing, like, I don't have proof of that, so I'm not going to like spread it around too much. But the interesting part was I found out about that on the news clip while I was sitting on Timcast, and it was like perfect. I was like,
so you didn't hear about Obama being gay like 15
years
years ago?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
I've heard that rumor.
Bathhouse Barry, bro, the legend of the Chicago gay scene.
Yeah, I've heard the rumor, but then to hear it like hear somebody talking about having
We're
sex
not
with
talking
Obama,
about like,
funny.
He experimented with penis once in a while.
No, it was like
he
routine.
ran that neighborhood, son.
Yeah. Well, he was also the like neighborhood organizer too. That's like how he
he organized the shit out of that neighborhood.
Yeah.
All the dudes, all those young dudes. So let's talk about your competition, bro, because it's a race, and we talked a little bit about Lars Mapstead and Mike Termott. Let's see. Who do we got? We got Chase Oliver, who I put it pretty much. This is, speaking for myself, I'll put it at the bottom, almost the bottom of this barrel. Is that accurate? Or maybe Franzak. He might be at the bottom of the barrel at this point.
Well, I think so. Here's the deal. I think Franz is going to have the most supporters, no doubt.
This is the vermin supreme of our day, isn't
exactly.
it?
He's going to have the most supporters, but they're not going to show up to DC.
Right.
To vote for him. I mean, I've already seen the people saying they'll vote for him, asking him if they can get him free tickets to their show because they don't have enough money to get in the show. Like, we're talking about teeny bopper, like metal rapcore kids, right? Like, they're not going to go to DC and vote for this guy. They'll go to their local, maybe they'll go and vote for him at the polling booth. Like,
he
if
doesn't
he gets
have enough time between. No. Even if he did have the will, he doesn't have enough time.
No, he's on tour. He's on tour for like the next year and a half. Man.
Yeah, come on.
And like, cool. He's also got some weird shit. I mean, with his OnlyFans, sucking his own sperm out of women and shit. Like, that's not. I don't want that guy representing me. That's
gross,
for sure,
bro.
But whatever. Cool. Good on him. Do what you do. Get your thing. Be as degenerate as you want. Just keep it away from me and my party. But yeah. And then there's Mapstead, who don't get me wrong with Mapstead. Like, he seems like a nice guy.
That's what you said about Termott. We got to stop calling these guys nice guys.
Yeah, I mean, they're nice guys. He seems like a nice guy. And he does seem like his heart's in the right place, but his whole platform is just unrig the system, right? Like, that's his whole platform. And he's not like, when he speaks, he doesn't speak with authority. He doesn't act like he's going to go in there and clear this shit out. He's just like,
no sense of urgency. Right.
Yeah, no sense of urgency.
That means a lot, dude. That means a lot.
Yeah.
When it's all about messaging.
I like him. I think he's a nice guy. I do. I think he probably dislikes me for some reason. I've never even met the guy or talked to him, but I don't think that he's got the messaging that's gonna be brave enough and bold enough to get that 5%. I just don't. And he's got all these followers. He
probably doesn't like you because he spent $250,000 on this campaign, and you came in and spent nothing basically, and you probably took his chances away.
Yeah, he's already spent. Yeah, I think he's already spent $500,000, and most of that is in social media ads, and he's still only at like 40,000 followers.
How much ballot access could you have bought with that? Which, by the way, I want to put this up here before we get too far ahead. Jennifer Halbane, who I am very fond of, she's great. Said 5% doesn't give you the ballot access, but gives you money. Do you know what she's talking about?
She's talking about the federal money that the Republicans and Democrats get for election season, but that's not true. 5% will get us ballot access automatic ballot access in like 40 47 states or 46 states or something like that.
Is New York one of the ones that won't apply to that?
I believe New York, we get ballot access if a presidential candidate gets 5% in New York State.
Okay. Yeah, because look, that's the one. Larry Sharp is out there, and I know he's your friend, but I don't care. Larry Sharp is out there trying to raise $500,000 and probably more money to do this for like the third time. And all with the intention of, if he can secure ballot access, then there might be a chance that he'll run in 2026. But if he does, that's a winnable race. We got to start being real with each other, because that is retardobot. Please don't spend $500,000 on ballot access in New York, and please don't let libertarian politicians tell you that they're going to win a governor's race, especially when they tried it once before, came in 4th place. No, he's your boy. I'm talking to everybody, not just you.
I love Larry. I'd love to have Larry's help on my campaign for sure. The guy knows how to run a campaign. It's New York State. It's hard. It's hard in New York, man.
I mean, spend that. I would suggest to Larry. He's going around every weekend touring New York and doing the work. But instead of trying to raise money and get 50,000 signatures and all this shit,
it's a lot. I think it's more than that. I think
it might be.
New York upped their requirement for third parties.
He said if they get it, he's pretty sure if they get the requirement, they'll just up it. So it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, this is just so much energy. And the people in New York, in the caucus and in the party, don't want to do this, but he's doing it anyway. So I would just say, let's get more creative than that.
I'm sure. I think I want to say like Alabama for sure, which has always been a really hard state. Also, Tennessee, which has been a very hard, one of the hardest. Tennessee and now New York, of course. But the other part of that too is for the states that we don't automatically get ballot access in, the federal money can be used to just buy ballot access in those states, like just buy it. You know what I mean? And so that's I just hit my switch on my hydraulics, bro. I'm dropping switches here. That's the other thing too, is we have the opportunity to just pay for ballot access. Like here, just take the money and pay for ballot access as opposed to having to go out and petition for it every year. But I'm telling you, if you get a third party candidate, 5%, 64,000 signatures in New York. That's crazy.
In 6 weeks. What are we doing?
It's impossible. I would contend that without $500,000, it would be impossible. With $500,000, we'd probably do it. So
but if you had, that's what my next question would be. If someone was like, okay, we raised $500,000, would you go, great, we should spend it on this so that we can get a 4th place candidate for governor?
Yeah, I don't know. If it was federal funds that they're giving to the party,
different. Okay,
it's different, right? I mean, at that point, I'd be like, hell yeah, just go spend it on ballot access so we can keep running candidates that are getting us 5%. If we're getting 5% nationally, right, then hell yeah, we should do that.
And then, by the way, that does just get you. It's like not forever. Like if one candidate gets 5%, it's for the next presidential seat election, but that's it, right?
I think so. Essentially, the way it works is you get national major party status, right? So it's like in Iowa, this last term, we ran a gubernatorial candidate, Rick Stewart, who's hilarious, by the way, and he got 2% of the vote, and so now we have state like major party status. We automatically have ballot access here. We don't have to worry about it anymore at all. And that's because Rick Stewart got 2% or whatever. So it's like nationally, on the national scale, you become a national major political party with the FEC.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so even if a state tries to fight our ballot access after we become a national major party status, they have to give us that. We can take them to court and say, look, we're a national major political party, just like the Republicans, just like the Democrats. The states have to give us the same exact number as they give the Republicans and Democrats. So in New York State, we have to give 67,000 signatures. But if we become a national major political party, they have to give us the same thing that they give the Republicans and Democrats. So if the Republicans and Democrats only have to get 5,000 signatures, well, we only have to get 5,000 signatures for ballot access now. That's how. So like, yes, it gives us ballot. It may not give us automatic ballot access, but it gives us ballot access because now we don't have to spend $1.7 million a year on ballot access around the country anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, man, I would love that 5%. I hope, man, I know that's your thing. I hope whoever is the nominee pushes that hard.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
the whole campaign is centered around that. I mean, that's really what it is. It's like,
a reasonable goal. If you live in Iowa, right, you can tell people like, yo, your state's going to go red. Just vote for,
we didn't send a single Democrat to Washington this year. Not one.
Right. So enjoy your vote. Cast it freely for what makes you happy.
And that's what we got to do. We got to get 5%. That will give validity to the Libertarian Party. And then whoever runs in 2028 is going to have a much easier time than I'm going to have. I promise you. Right. So,
but man, they would put a plaque up in you in that little Washington, D.C. office, I'm sure, if you were the guy that got that 5%.
Oh, yeah, they better. I better be Libertarian Jesus after that, for sure.
Yeah, buddy. So who else do we got? We talked about a little bit about Termott, Cop,
Yeah, Termott's another guy. I like Termott.
Nice
I think
guy.
he's got really good,
Lots of nice guys, obviously.
He's got some decent policies too, but he's like he doesn't explain them in a way that the common person is going to pay attention. I'm sorry, I mean that 100%.
First of all, you're absolutely right, dude. You can't just know the shit because this is about communication. That's one. And two, you should not come to the Libertarian Party and go, I know all the things, so make my name known. You should come for what we're at. You should at least, I mean, no offense, you should have the kind of following that you have. At least have 20,000 Twitter followers. At least be putting out content all the time and be in the space and like, don't come to the party and go.
Good
yes,
content.
Yes, it is, bro. I
Not
told you that
singing on some dock in like 280p, dude.
Oblivious. No, that straight up pissed off Smots. He was like, "Yo."
He told me we were driving through the cornfields in Illinois.
He was angry about it.
He's like, it just come like it made me so mad. I was like, yeah, I know, man. I know.
You can do anything, and I won't give you shit. But my God. Yeah.
That's what I told Franz too. I don't know if you saw my clapback video at his announcement for
yes,
president.
I did.
Like you got to have good audio and video, man. At least you're going to run for president. You can't be putting out bad media. That's a terrible idea. Terrible idea.
If you're watching this show and you're a libertarian, you make podcasts or you make content or something like that, you are ahead of 80% of these motherfuckers if you buy a mic.
A good mic. Yep.
If you have a decent mic and you're not looking down at a table at your phone that's like anchored up, then you are doing better than most of these motherfuckers. That guy has like 1 million follows. And not mic'd up, just like on his table, going, "Yo, this is like the greatest day of my life." I'm glad that this is the greatest day for your life, bro. Yeah. Kind of sounds like a vanity project to make you happy.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me too. But I think the emo guys, like the emo caucus, is running them. It's kind of their funny candidate.
I like Ben Weir. I like that he goes out and he gets what he wants. In fact, he told me that he hit you up and said you should run, and then you did.
It's so funny because he had hit me up like, I don't know, several months before maybe a month or two before I announced. And I had already been kind of thinking about it because I was like, I don't know, man, somebody's got to run. And I need someone who's going to be brave and bold and speak to the people, man. And if we don't get somebody like that, to me, it's just kind of done. Like the whole mission that I was on is over. And so Ben reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, you're like an emo guy." I'm like, "Well, I'm more of a punk rock guy, but I like emo music too, you know." And he's like, "Would you run as the joke candidate for the emo caucus?" And I was like, "I don't know, maybe we'll talk about it." You know what I mean? And then I didn't get back to him about it. And then they started running Toad.
Yep.
And then I announced, and I didn't know Toad had run. I didn't know Toad was actually running. I had no idea.
He filed the paperwork and everything.
Yeah, he's a filed candidate under Josh Anderson, by the way. He's all public now.
That's good. Yeah. By the way, he'll be on the show next Monday night. We're gonna.
I love me some Toad, man.
Too. Yeah,
Toad is so autistic, but he's just he's a really cool dude. I stayed on his couch for like 7 days once.
Wow, that's a lot of days.
Yeah, I flew. Well, when I went to Boston for the LNC meeting, I came. I got like a cheaper flight by coming in on like, I don't know. It wasn't 7 days, but it was like 5 days. I came in on like Tuesday night or something like that. And then we went out in Boston and hung out and took me to get New England clam chowder, which I had never had, and showed me Fenway and all that stuff, man. He's a great dude. Took me all over. He doesn't drive in Boston. He's got a car, but he won't drive in Boston. So we had to take the train everywhere. That sucked. But other than that, it was great.
That's where I met him too, in Boston. And then we hooked up again in Reno. This is a guy, bro. I'm telling you, for all those the Tower Gang dudes, like, you know, he still, I mean, he keeps it real with, you know, the party. Like obviously he can make fun of it and everybody can be blackpilled, but like he does his shit and he read.
He works with the party. Yeah.
He works with it. And he's really smart. His fucking bookshelf is loaded up, man. And So yeah, I got respect. I get a lot of respect for him. I can't wait to talk to him next week. And I think that my feeling when Franzak got in the race, I was like, this is the best possible thing that could have happened to Josh and Toad, because he like cleanses you guys. You're no longer like the like scrubs. Like this guy's fucking disgusting. So you guys you're like gentlemen.
Well, there's that.
You're like the moderate middle, bro.
There's that, and Rechtenwald helps me too. And I don't think people understand that, because Rechtenwald, look, here's the deal.
Yet.
Yeah, we could talk about Rechtenwald. The Mises Caucus supporting Rechtenwald, I think, is a bad decision. First of all, I do like Rechtenwald.
Controversy.
I respect Michael Rechtenwald, but he's got a lot of controversy around his political career, coming from the Democrats as a hardcore communist, switching over to the Republicans in 2016 to vote for Donald Trump, and then becoming a part of the hardcore anarchist Hoppe right to go to the Mises Institute and writing for the Mises Institute, right? But he's so far like into the Hoppe narrative that he's gonna make me look better too. And I'm a Hoppian. Like I totally love Hoppe, and I talk about democracy all the time, and I've said all these same things, but he makes me look really good. The problem with Rechtenwald, and I'll say this, I think he's great. I think he's very smart, very, very, very smart guy. I think he knows his policy. I think he knows, probably has a decent idea of what would help with the bad policy we've had. He is not exciting at all. At all. He is a humdrum, boring professor who gives great lectures that are very important to people that are already interested in Austrian economics and Hoppian theory and Rothbard theory, and the people that go to Mises U in Auburn and come for those boring lectures that drone on and on and on and on about the economic calculation, and he's very good in that respect. Is he going to get a movement of people so hyped up in the United States that we get 5 to 7% of the vote? No, absolutely not.
Is that fair though? Because no one has ever done that.
Well, Gary Johnson got us 3.3% of the vote in 2016, and he sucked.
Right, but
he was exciting.
I have a theory that I have a theory that it's most of our votes, I'd say 1.5 to 2%, come from being the third box. Just
automatically checking Libertarian. Yeah,
right, and then maybe you get more. The next bump you'll get is from how detestable the major two candidates are, and then the third bump will be how appealing or famous or known is.
Well, it's not even just famous or known. It's like, can you go around the country and get people so hyped up on your vote for vengeance that they're gonna come to the ballot box and vote for you? And I've talked about this since 2008. When I helped Ron Paul in California, the two things that bring people to the ballot box are hope and change. Obama proved that 100%. Obama was the underdog in that race, by the way. He was the underdog in the DNC, in the Democratic primary. He was the underdog, and he took the race and then took the general and was a 2-term president. And it was because he ran on a message, an exciting, very well conveyed message to the middle class, that he was the hope and change candidate. And if
he was a straight married father of 2.
Yeah, well, that too. But here's the thing: like, if you can't be that guy, and whether you're lying or not, right? Like Obama was a liar. But if you can't make it look good, nobody's going to come to the ballot box and vote for you, man. It's just not going to happen. And we have had a problem with that in the Libertarian Party since Harry Brown in 2000. We're talking 24 years. It's been very hard for us to run a very exciting campaign because we haven't had very exciting candidates. We're talking about Bob Barr. We're talking about Gary Johnson twice and Joe Jorgensen. The only decently exciting candidate the party has had since 2000 was Michael Bagnarek in 2004. Yeah. The guy was a sovereign. But the guy was a sovereign citizen who didn't even have a driver's license and had to be driven around on his campaign. You know what I mean? Like he was exciting, but he didn't run a real true campaign. You know what I mean? And so we have an opportunity here in this very, very charged political landscape to shave off votes, one, but to also exacerbate and excite the 49 to 52% of people who won't vote for those two candidates and get them on our side. And if we're not going to be the exciting candidate that is also principled, hopefully, then go home. Don't come. don't campaign. Don't spend all this money. Don't get all these people excited and throwing money at your campaign if you're not going to go and do the campaign in the way that it needs to be done. I'm telling you that. Please don't do it. And I like Michael Rechtenwald. I do. I think he's great. I think he's got great policies. He's not going to excite people, man. Maybe the Mises people, maybe the Hoppians. What else is going to be? Have you watched any of his lectures? Have you watched a single lecture by Michael Rockenwald?
Yeah, I have recently. Yeah.
Okay, he's great. Great.
This is a challenge. I mean, and you know who I'm talking to, but yeah, I've expressed the same things you have, and I hate that I think about kind of the propaganda first,
right?
But I do, and I know that to the layman, they will see if they saw Gary Johnson, Jacob Hornberger, Mike Tremont, and Rechtenwald lined up, they would just go, different store, same groceries.
Sure.
I know that. So that's something that, yeah, bro, absolutely. If you think that, yeah, I relate to a motherfucker with tattoos and a hoodie going, I'm coming after the COVID regime.
But also can put on a suit and do the damn thing.
Absolutely. This is very important. This is why Dave Smith was the guy. Because nobody could touch down on both sides and kind of be that both thing quite like he could. And note to self, when your whole community comes to you next time and goes, yo, you should do this thing. You should listen to your community. I think it's tragic that he didn't do it.
Had Dave run, I would have never even stepped. Maybe the vice president run, but I never would have even stepped up at all. All right, well, Dave's the guy. And I told Dave at one point, I'll quit my job and be your campaign manager, buddy. Just let me know. You let me know what you want to do.
Yeah. God, I try not to think about, like what we're missing out on, the potential. I do enough of that with 9/11 and what they stole from us there. So there's no sense in dwelling in old shit. And, on to the new Smith, man. That's something, bro, nobody can take away from you is that you, from the beginning of this whole shit, this whole Mises Caucus journey, the takeover, all of it, you always showed up. Like, you could say what you want. You might not want Josh to be the at-large or vice chair or president of the United States. It's like, well, run, motherfucker. This guy's every time he's showing up and running. So I got to give
I ran 3 national campaigns in a row from 2017 all the way through 2022. I ran national campaigns around the country. I've now been to 49 of the 50 states over the last 6 years. Like, this is what I do. It's what I'm good at. I'm good at going out. Like, my campaign team knows this. Like, I'm not an administrator. Like, I'm just not, you know what I mean? I'm not a super organized administrator. So they're handling all that stuff. And I get to be the forward facing guy who goes out and does the messaging and talks to people and shakes hands and does media and all the stuff that I've been saying for years that I'm decent at. And I've gotten a lot better at over the last 6 years as well. I get to do those things now. And like me or hate me, I know that my policies resonate. They're resonating with people outside of our bubble even, which is great. And we're seeing it every day in the social media world where we've had 7,000 hits, 7 million hits over the last 7 days.
Bro, you had one tweet. I'm going to read it later, but yeah, you had one tweet the other day and it was a simple one about the New Mexico governor, how she should be locked up and obviously
5 million impressions right now.
Yeah, but
Elon Musk commented on it.
Okay, that probably helped out. But why isn't if you're a libertarian presidential candidate who's not going, oh yeah, of course she should go to Guantanamo Bay, of course.
Yeah,
if you can't do that.
And here's the other thing about the Guantanamo Bay thing. There's a lot of people that take issues with that, especially libertarians, and I get that. I understand.
Oh my God.
I understand that, but you also have to understand.
They understand that you won't be president and you won't actually send them to Guantanamo Bay.
It's more
about
of
invoking an image of what they deserve.
Yeah, it is exactly what it is. It's kind of tongue in cheek. At the same time, if I had the power to send them to Guantanamo Bay, I'd be more than happy to do that.
We would do it. Yeah,
as long as there's just they get their actual litigation through and they're able to have due process.
George Bush sitting in Guantanamo Bay is justice.
How could you not smile at the idea of George Bush sitting in Guantanamo Bay?
That's what I'm saying. My heart starts to go black like Anakin Skywalker when we talk about that. Yeah.
How could
I
you
want
not?
Want
how
revenge.
could that not invoke an emotional response in you to think about him and Anthony Fauci sitting next to each other in Guantanamo Bay? I'm just saying. That's where I would send him. I'd love to see him there. Of course, to me, there'd have to be some due process and litigation. They'd have to get their full fair trial. And then once they're convicted of crimes against humanity and war crimes, they can go set and be each other's cellmates in Guantanamo Bay, where we're not going to torture them. Okay. We're obviously not going to torture.
Can we interrogate them?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel like George Bush needs at least one waterboard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, just one. We'll test it out on that guy.
See how he liked it, you know?
Yeah. Bro, I'm excited about the campaign. Like I said, that first ad was fucking amazing. But I got to say, the second one, it did it for me.
Take a moment and remember the feeling. When they called you not essential. When they dictated what you could do, where you could go, how you could breathe. It's disgusting, isn't it? And they're trying to do it again. We've seen what happens when the people lose control. When politicians and unelected bureaucrats make the big decisions on our behalf, whether we like them or not. When the choices are taken away from us one by one. We've seen what happens when they strip away medical freedom. When they trample on informed consent. When they dismiss our cries of justice. They laughed at us. They called us names.
Rest in peace, Wheezy.
Them, their freedom. I want my freedom to live.
And they shamed us for not going along with their every demand. Enough already. It's time to hold these tyrants accountable. In the midst of them trying to do it again, this wasn't a public health measure. This was an act of war against a peaceful people. But a reckoning is coming, and we're leading the charge. This campaign is for all of us. I'm asking you to join this movement that's for every single person who felt the crushing weight of mandates, the sting of being called unessential, the pain of having your liberties stripped away. I'm Joshua Smith, and I'm running because you are essential, and because our freedoms are non-negotiable. Not last time, not this time, not ever again.
I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good.
We faced the challenges. We felt the pain, but we're not defeated. Together, we have the power to create a brighter future, one where liberty thrives and tyranny dies. I endorse prosecuting the COVID tyrants and using Guantanamo Bay to lock them away for their crimes against humanity. In the face of all of this happening again, where they think we're stupid enough to fall for it, in 2024, a vote for me is a vote for vengeance. Go to joshuasmith2024.com to find out how you can help.
Savage.
Put it right here, buddy. Put
Definitely.
it right here in my fucking veins. I'm coming for vengeance, motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's funny because we, when we started all this, my initial campaign slogan was, "I guess I'll do it." Right when I announced, which is
wait,
pretty sad.
no. I gotta be honest with you, bro. This is so much. I'm not sure about the vengeance because, like I said, my heart and everything. But this is so much better, much stronger.
I agree. Yeah. And then it kind of with that first video, it morphed into Enough Already, which is totally stolen from Scott Horton, by the way, who's one of the absolute greatest living libertarians in history. And he kind of got a kick out of that. He was actually pretty stoked. And I did say I stole it directly from Scott Horton publicly. And then when I kept coming back to this vengeance thing, and it wasn't like V for Vendetta in my head kept popping up or anything, but it was like the vengeance thing kept coming back to me because I'm like, yo, COVID and this horrible mental health that's telling me that I have to say it's okay for men to breastfeed children, and the warfare state that's been destroying our economy and killing my countrymen and people around the world for my entire life, and the Federal Reserve that's making it hard for us to buy a house as a family and support ourselves and put food on the table. And I was like, these people got to pay. Like, they absolutely have to pay, period. There's no, and this is the thing, like, people keep coming at me like vengeance isn't libertarian. The hell it isn't. The hell it isn't. There is nothing at all in a single libertarian philosophy that says retribution through justice, which is the same thing as vengeance, is not in line with libertarian philosophy, especially when it's for injurious things like closing down our businesses and forcing medical procedures on us and taking our kids for not going along with gender role stuff, which they're starting to do in California now. And I mean, these people got to pay. And the only way to ever change or move the Overton window or change the culture in this country is to show that these things don't pay. These things do not pay, because the mental health care workers that are pushing this stuff on our kids are getting paid. It's a trendy for-profit business. They're getting paid.
These social workers,
the military industrial complex that lobbies our government to stay in never-ending wars are getting paid. The Pfizer and the Safer Task Force and Fauci and all these people, they're getting paid. They're all getting paid. It's all about the money. All of this shit is about the money. And if we don't take that from them and give them retribution and justice through vengeance, they'll continue to do it forever until we have somebody that steps up and says, not again, not on my watch. And that's what the vote for vengeance is about. It's about stopping all of this bullshit through retribution, which is totally in line with libertarian philosophy. Anybody saying it's not is wrong. Absolutely wrong. Dude. You can make an argument. You can make an argument that Guantanamo Bay being open is not libertarian. That's fine. I get that. But I'm telling you right now that retribution and justice through vengeance for the obvious attack on every single person in this country is totally in line with libertarian philosophy. And you cannot make a case. Everyone I've asked to make a case and give me a case for why it's not has not once told me a single decent claim as to why it's not in line with libertarian philosophy. Not one person, not a single person.
Yeah, man. And I know like your ads and your campaign, and I've heard you say it, you know, like you're targeting like the working class, and you have like a blue collar message, and like you're trying to reach regular people, and you know, you're employing a populist message.
Yes.
It's always good. I mean, this is, dude, Ron Paul, Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump. There's a guy over there who has a lot trying to take what you have, which is not a lot. Like, this is simple, and it's always true. Like, who can get that? First of all, who's telling the truth? It's not Bernie. It's probably Ron Paul. But, like, that is always fucking true, that somebody's trying to fuck you out of something. And, dude, to be perfectly honest with you, you know, to kind of just put a bow on it, one of the things that just makes me so angry is the robbing of potential. So, like, you know, you were 17 when you signed up to go on a fucking boat and like make this. No.
I think I had turned 18 already
18.
when I finally signed up.
You're a kid. You're a boy, man, 18 years old. And so many people did that. Pat Tillman, you know what I mean? That guy was like the fucking man, millionaire, football player. Like, he could have done whatever he wanted with his life, but he went to Afghanistan to fucking die. We don't even have to get in that. But I'm just saying, like, the lost, squandered potential over decades. You know, we didn't even get into COVID yet, and the potential, what they fuck these kids out of, and anybody that took these jabs. But, like, bro, I'm still so pissed about that because you can't measure it. You don't know. You know, you see the memes about Ron Paul, if he would have won with flying cars and all that shit. It's like, I know that's kind of funny, but, like,
there's some truth to that.
There's some fucking truth to that, bro. And I was a boy when 9/11 happened, and now I'm a middle-aged man, and This has, you know, like this shit, this liberty shit, fighting for this has been my life.
How could you watch the last 2 decades and not be irate?
Right.
How can you not be mad? If you're not mad, you're not paying attention.
I said today, bro, like they said back in the day, like never forget, as if I could if I wanted to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. Fuck you. I'm coming for vengeance, motherfuckers. Yes. I want it. So from the 9/11 regime and the same motherfucking faces that played ball in the COVID regime, I'm sure there was a wide revolving door there. Probably lots of the same assholes. In fact, who's the Russiagate guy who led that thing? Mueller, right?
Mueller, yep.
He was in charge of the FBI when they found the fucking passport in the rubble. You know, like these motherfuckers.
Four blocks away.
Yeah. He's totally. Brave men and women of the FBI.
Yeah.
They're doing great work over there.
Yeah.
But, dude, like I said, man, we got a ways to go before a presidential election, but a couple things are certain. One, I appreciate that somebody is coming out swinging haymakers now. You know what I mean? Somebody should be getting on Vaush and these shows, Tim Pool, who's not Mike Termott or Chase Oliver. So thank God. You did a great job on Tim's show, man. I'm sure more of that stuff's going to come in the future.
I don't know if I talked to you privately about this, and it hasn't been something said publicly, but I am aware of Tim trying to get me back on with RFK Jr. and Vivek. I understand that that's a thing that's being talked about right now, and if we could do that, would be huge.
Wow, dude, that's crazy. Vivek, that guy, watch that guy's tongue, man, because everything he says is fucking
he's sharp,
on point.
He's sharp-witted and
so
sly.
I've never heard him say like or but he's a big pharma shill. So he's
more
fucking
than a big
assassin.
pharma shill too. And I'll listen. I am not as good of a public speaker as Vivek, that's for sure. But I do have one thing.
You're a better public speaker than RFK, bro.
Yes, for sure, for sure. And I agree 100% with RFK on medical freedom stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Vivek, I watched him for 10 minutes. We all did on national television argue with Nikki Haley for 10 minutes about who was going to serve Israel better. So he's not going to have a good time in a debate with me. He probably and it's not going to be. I don't think it would be a debate. Here's the thing: that I didn't know the GOP did this. The GOP added to their own bylaws that if you take place in any unsanctioned primary debates, that you will not be allowed in the official primary debates.
This is how they keep a fucking tight.
Brand
shit,
new,
bro. Yeah.
Brand new. They just voted it in, I think, last election. I had no idea. I didn't know that was a thing because I was calling Vivek like out online every day, tagging him like, come debate me. He was here. His bus was literally like 3 blocks away from my house, parked for like a week. And I was like, just come in the basement, man. Come down.
Yeah, come in the studio.
Come in the studio, sit on the couch. We'll have a normal conversation. It doesn't have to be a debate, but you have said some things that don't sit right with me. You were hopped on the COVID bandwagon in the beginning, and now you're saying that you were against it. You were pro-immigration, and now you're saying you want to go to war with Mexico. You're calling yourself a libertarian all the time, but you want to bomb farmers in Mexico because of drugs. Like, no, come sit down and let's talk about this. He does not want to sit in front of me in an actual debate. None of those uniparty people do. I may not be as good a speaker, but I got all the factual ammo on my side, you know?
Yeah. And what's in it for them? Like, you have a lot to gain. I mean, that would be beautiful. The Libertarian Party has a lot to gain if they get down on that interview or that debate.
If that does happen, it would be, I think it would have to be considered like just a roundtable like discussion, which is fine with me. I just want to have it. I think it needs to be had. You know, and I think that right now I'm the guy for the job. So
I'll tell you what, man. Listen, I would be uncomfortable. Like, I remember when everybody was like, "Oh my God, let her speak, let her speak. Get Joe on Joe Rogan." I was like, "Please don't, please don't get her. That would be worse." I know all publicity is not good publicity. Don't do that.
I'd love to go on Joe. We're gonna get on Joe. We're gonna get on Joe Rogan.
If you did that, I mean, again, bro, go spread the message, man. Build your brand up too. I think that's fair and good, and like just be as solid as you have been. Make everybody proud. Say the shit that nobody else is saying, and you'll be okay, man.
Yep, I agree.
I really appreciate it, bro. Tell everybody, I just had your link running at the bottom, but tell everybody where to support you and get your stuff and support your campaign.
Yeah, sure. So we come follow me on Twitter. If you don't already follow me on Twitter, that's where I'm the most active. And people know that they can message me on Twitter, and I'll message them right back within an hour or so. I'm really, really responsive to people there. That's at Joshua at Large. You can find me there, and of course the website. And listen, there's several important aspects to a campaign and several important ways to help this specific campaign. And you can find them all on the website. There's a form on there you can fill out to become a volunteer. Okay. Our volunteers are anybody from social media trolls all the way up to the campaign manager. We also are working on some paid positions as well, fundraisers, of course, the campaign manager, treasurer, all that stuff. But get involved. We have a really great group of people. It's probably the funnest campaign team I've ever been a part of, because we have these guys we're running it like an old school Ron Paul campaign. It's like organic, grassroots. People kind of have an idea and are able to just run with it and do whatever they want. That was the great part about working on Ron Paul's campaign, is like, you want to make media, go do it. You want to do that, you want to do this, do it. You want to put out this thing, just send it my way, make sure it's approved, send it out through the email list. Anything. It's a really great group of people. You have a lot of fun working on this campaign. And if we get the nomination, we're a big national campaign team. It'd be great. The other thing, we need people to sign up for the email list. That way we can let you know what's going on. We try to send out an email a week at least, and it'll let you know what's going on in the campaign. Donate to the campaign. Listen, we cannot exist as a candidate for national executive branch in the United States without financial help. We are up against financial juggernauts in this country. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars spent just on the presidential election. Okay. If you guys aren't going to help us compete, then we can't do it. We can't compete. It's just, we don't have the money. No candidate that's going to come in and run for the Libertarian Party is going to have hundreds of millions of dollars to run. Not anybody. So if you can't give us some money, try to give us some money. I mean, it's very important. And we could take $2,800 as the max donation you can send to us per year. That's once this and once for the general. So help us out. We have a lot of really great media ideas that we're working on still and putting together. We're going to be doing some really big shows. We're trying to get on Sean Ryan. We're working on getting on PBD. Of course, Joe Rogan is in the horizon somewhere. We're going to get there too. These are good things for our ideology. And the other thing is you can look at all of our platforms, media that's up there. Of course, my endorsement for Ron Paul we threw on there as well as a past endorsement. He's not endorsed me for this campaign, but we are pushing for that endorsement for the primary in the Libertarian Party as well. Hopefully we'll get that. But help us out, man. You can get there by going to joshuasmith2024.com. And yeah, man, we look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail and getting this 5% win, which is a huge win for us.
Huge, man. That's the name of the game. 5%, great winnable goal. Like, it could be done.
Yes.
And
it will be done. Put me in the general. It's going to get done.
All right. That is, I can't accept I can win, but I can accept I can get 5%. Like, you could fucking do that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Attainable, realistic. Absolutely.
Josh, it's weird being in politics with your buddies. And I appreciate that you came on. And, you know, if you guys are interested in the Stern talking to that we gave Josh the last time, then you can go watch that on Smotz's show. This was kind of, you know, more informal thing. And I just, you know, it dawned on me that this is my friend and he's running for president. And regardless if I endorse him or vote for him, it's like, this is special and awesome. And the message is good. So I know that's weird, but I just wanted to say that, man. I appreciate what you're doing. And I think you're doing a great job.
No, I appreciate it, man. And I look forward to your endorsement when you realize that we're the campaign to bet on, man.
Dude, it's not out of the realm of possibility. No. So, you know.
Good.
I appreciate you, man.
We're getting you guys back. We're on the original mission of the Mises Caucus. Our focus has not left what we initially set out to do, and this is the pinnacle of doing it right now.
Is this like the Bitcoin Cash of Mises Caucus? It's like this thing that's kind of like that, but it's right over here.
We're just
same thing.
It's still just the same thing. It's the same mission we had when we started. Just sans Dave Smith as the presidential campaign.
Look, I said this from the beginning, bro. I don't have faith in institutions. I have faith in individuals. So, Josh, go do big things. Mike Heiss, go do big things. Dan Smotz, go make big fucking commercials. Do it all, and I'll help out wherever I can. But bro, keep doing your thing, and let's hang soon. All right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate you having me on.
You know it, dude. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. We're gonna do it. Call it one for the evening. That's episode 53. I know we were gone for a while, and I apologize. It won't happen again until next summer. But next week we'll be back with Toad, who's running for president himself, and maybe he'll answer some questions. And yeah. We'll have some more fun. We got a ways to go before we pick out a president, but we'll have some fun along the way. All right, guys. See you soon. Peace.